Hi friends, it's now Friday, October 4th. It's 1 week since the storm, and I'm finally getting a chance to make a video to give you all an update and let you know what's going on here since a week ago. This video may seem long, but that's because I'm planning on attaching some footage at the end of this video, just some footage of the aftermath of the storm, as well as a little beehive rescue that I got to do. But okay, here we go. I want to begin by saying that if you haven't heard from us, I'm sorry. We're safe. I am safe. Marquise is safe. Connection and communications are down, so we basically only get small windows when we can be in a certain place and get a little bit of cell phone service. So, but we are safe. What I want to do is just share my experience with you of the last 7 days, and as I can get into town here and there, I can update you more. So first of all, I want to say this is probably a lot more severe or intense than what you're seeing on TV. That being said, we're also witnessing something really beautiful. People are surviving because of the incredible spirit of this area. Truly, neighbors helping neighbors, and everybody stepping in. The disaster relief from a government level is pretty much non-existent, but that may be for another video. The death toll is also exponentially higher than what you're currently seeing on TV. The amount of people that are still trapped is also something you're probably not hearing on TV. I'm pretty much off social media, so I can't really chime in to whatever conversations there may be going on there. But yeah, and I also apologize if this video may end up being kind of all over the place. But yeah, here, let me tell you a little bit more about last week. So basically, for those of you who don't know, we live in Flag Pond, Tennessee. Flag Pond is right next to Erwin, Tennessee, which is the most eastern part of the state. We are basically right across the state line to North Carolina. We're about 35 minutes to Asheville, about 20 minutes to the suburbs of Asheville. And so Flag Pond, we are basically right between, and fairly close as the crow flies to a lot of the towns, that have been impacted. The Emerald Ark, our home and our bee sanctuary, sustained some hurricane damage, but not flooding damage the way some other people did, because we are really on a mountain. We're pretty far up toward the top, which worked out in our favor in this case. So maybe beginning with Thursday, the day that the hurricane made landfall in Florida, I'll be honest, I was nervous. I was nervous about the storm. I get nervous around storms anyhow, a little bit. But I was watching some of the migration trackers because I love watching bird migration, and realizing that the birds were completely avoiding this entire area and everything east of here, for some reason, made me more nervous. The other thing was that we had a lot of rain in a few days. We had a system that had stalled out here in the mountains, so the rivers were already high, and even at our little farm, we had a lot of water coming down the mountain before the hurricane even reached us, to the point where water was going under the buildings. I had heard from some friends who were evacuating kind of last minute. It's not that we, and these were people that lived close to creeks, and were being told that the water was rising quickly. So we went to bed Thursday night knowing that the storms were going to reach us in the early morning hours of Friday, which they did. And by Friday morning, obviously the power had gone out, and we saw hurricane damage in terms of downed trees and downed power lines up by us. At 10 a.m., I went into the town of Flag Pond, which is basically just coming down our mountain. We're about 1.5 miles, almost 2 miles above the town. That's how far we are up the mountain. And when I saw that the smaller creeks that run through Flag Pond were cresting to a point where there was one woman who it was literally looking like it was going to wash her house away, I realized that this was, this was going to be really serious. There are countless of these creeks that come from the tops of the mountains that can gain momentum, so to speak, by being so full, and they all come together then in the larger rivers, which where we are is the Nolichucky River. So by that afternoon, we had more hurricane damage. We had a tree fall on one of our barns and then take down our fences where our goats are. And I have some amazing neighbors that came out right away in the rain and actually helped with the chainsaws and helped repair the fence and so on. And, like I said, the power poles snapped in half, and internet and power got ripped off the building. And I'll just say this. So for the next couple of days, all I was hearing was word of mouth, right? So because we were completely now, also the cell towers went down. So at this point, then from Friday afternoon on, we could not get off the mountain because we were told that the roads had washed out. We knew that there was some significant damage in Irwin, which is our closest town. So just for reference, it's 20 minutes away from where we are. My son plays football for the high school in Irwin. So, and we knew things like the hospital had flooded. They were rescuing people with helicopters off the roof of the hospital because the hospital was almost submerged, and that the Nolichucky River had pretty much taken everything in its path. And that's pretty much it. We didn't have, when you don't have any internet or no cell phone signal, everything got really quiet. And of course, no electricity and so on. So for us personally, we are pretty prepared. If you know me, we've been living very simply on the land there for quite some years. So, we're used to composting toilets and being able to cook without electricity and so on. So, and also we, again, like I said, neighbors helping neighbors. So we were fine, and then it wasn't until Sunday that one of the roads seemed to have opened for us to be able to go into Irwin to try to get supplies. And that's when we first got to see with our eyes the destruction in Irwin, which is a video that I am going to attach at the end of this. So Irwin, basically, I'll just say it like this, part of the town was completely gone. Everything that was along or near the creeks and the Nolichucky River was washed away. And I'm talking completely gone. So the way like including and building, I mean houses, including businesses, including an entire factory that had people in it, right? Gone, to the point where you don't see even the foundations of buildings. The river had completely changed its shape, and so on. So it was quite something to be able to witness that. That was Sunday then. And yeah. So we were able to get supplies in terms of some things we needed. Everything was already running low on gas at that point, so we were told that we weren't going to be sure if there was going to be gas or if there was going to be gas shortage and so on. So for the next couple of days, we stayed on the mountain, and I did come into town one more time for supplies, and also to try to have communication, right? Because there were so many people that were trying to get a hold of us to see if we were okay. And then also, I forgot to say, that first time we came into town then on Sunday was when I first got a little bit of connection so I could go on the internet, and I got to see, to a certain extent, how extensive the damage was everywhere. That entire towns had washed away. Obviously, Asheville was hit very hard, and a lot of the news coverage has been around Asheville and possibly even Irwin because of the factory that washed away. But there are dozens, and I really mean dozens, of towns that were hit really hard and had no connection to reach people because all of the roads are damaged. And Marshall completely flooded, and so on. So by Tuesday, I'm trying to make this a little quicker. I know I'm going on and on here. So by Tuesday, actually it was Wednesday. I decided, that even though we weren't sure about gas and what was happening with gas, that I was just going to have faith and start looking for people myself, because not knowing, people without cell phones or any kind of ability to communicate, that I would actually have to go to those communities myself and try to find people. And there were several people specifically I was thinking of who lived close to the rivers and creeks, and just so you know, around here, all of the towns are really built in the valleys, the hollers that have these creeks. I mean, it's just kind of the way the landscape is here. So on Wednesday, I ended up going into Barnardsville, which is my old community where I used to live right before I moved to the Emerald Arc. So I have a lot of friends there, and I also had a storage unit there, and I'll leave that for another time. But obviously, that storage unit is gone. But yeah, it was jarring to go into Barnardsville for sure. And I also attached that at the end of this. Okay, so Barnardsville, whole nother story. Basically, same thing. A lot of the houses washed away. All the roads washed away. The river completely having changed shape. The place where I used to live, I had a neighbor who lived right next to me on that same farm. Her house is gone. She lost her house and everything in it. And Barnardsville would be completely cut off at this point if it wasn't for a local land company that has special equipment, I mean like big equipment, like earth moving equipment. They happen to be located in Barnardsville. And so their equipment was there. And so this land company made it possible to create roads where there was nothing. Not real roads, but I mean like mounds of gravel and earth that they had to continuously stabilize for people to be able to get in and out. So again, in Barnardsville, very much on the ground, people organizing, having a meeting at noon every day for missing persons, to give out supplies, things like that. People helping people. And so most of the organizing that's taking place is happening via social media. For those people who can get connection, it's happening through all the little churches. Thank God for all the churches around here. But like I said, in terms of real disaster relief, there's almost nothing. Nothing. There are towns now that are still completely cut off with serious need. And obviously those people can't communicate. So not only is, like I said before, not only is the death toll a lot higher than what's being shared yet, but also the missing persons, it's really hard to say, because I have now been able to find quite a few of my friends, but in my own circle still have so many people that nobody's been able to get in touch with. So nobody knows. So anyway, that's that. It's very surreal, because like being in Irwin, for example, too, there are parts of the town that are completely fine. And you can be in that part of town and look around and say, wow, you might see some storm damage, some downed trees or something, but everything seems normal. And then just behind that line of trees, nothing is left. So that's really quite something. Okay, so another thing maybe that I want to say is that there's going to be a lot of consequences that obviously we'll take into consideration down the road, right? Obviously economically as well as ecologically, this is a real big disaster. The factories that got washed away in a couple different places, including Irwin as well as west of Asheville, have obviously released a lot of dangerous chemicals into the water, as well as, of course, sewage and people and houses that got swept away. It created a really toxic mud, and that toxic mud contaminated everything. So those people that are now salvaging or trying to salvage what they can actually are putting themselves in danger because of that toxicity. It also swept over farm fields, soaked farm fields, and just a lot of ground, which is now contaminated. Those who are cleaning up, further down the river, that toxic mud is now also beginning to dry and turning into dust that nobody should be breathing in. So one of the great needs, for example, is actually for hazmat suits. So if you're donating there, you'll see big lists of things that are needed. But hazmat suits and respirators are actually really important. Because again, almost no relief coming from the outside, but citizens are doing this on their own out there in the sludge. And they need to have better protection. So for me personally, yesterday, I got to have something that really was a highlight for me. A really positive thing is I got to do a beehive rescue. There was a big tree that had come down that had a big hive in it. And this hive survived for 7 days. And I was able to retrieve her yesterday and bring her to our sanctuary. So of course that really felt like an accomplishment among some of these huge events. So I'm going to end this video by saying, if you're from the outside looking in and you're donating, make sure you donate to the small organizations that are actually doing something. And hopefully I can probably link some with this video. There are some incredible organizations that are really doing the work right now. Don't fall for scammers. There's also a lot of scamming going on online from what I hear. And don't give to those big organizations that money will never get here. And also, if you're around here, there's probably very little chance that you will see this video because of the lack of communication. But in case you do, just remember to come up for air. If you have to, sometimes get away from the destruction and move your body and dance or sit in nature and breathe and realign yourself. This is going to be a huge transition, a transformation, a rebuilding. And it's important that it's coming from an aligned place, from our highest self, because we don't want to internalize that trauma and pass it on to other generations, right? We want to be able to take care of ourselves and our children and everybody around us and build from that place. So I love you all, and I hope that you're all safe if I haven't spoken to you yet, and talk to you soon. Here's the footage from our first day going into Irwin, which was last Sunday. Look at that. That's gone.
You're not near the river.
No, this was a wall of water. Look at the trees over there. This is, oh my God, look at this power pole.
Look at this tractor. Look at these houses, like this is pieces of houses.
There used to be houses right here.
I know.
Look at that house. Oh, it's got spared. Half of that house is gone. Oh, look at this is how they opened the road. They put the gravel down. Wow, look at that. That is crazy. Look at that. That's what it did to the road. That's what it did to the road. Look at all this. This is
There's a house over
insane.
there. Oh, maybe that's where their house is.
That's where their house was.
I know.
This is insane. Look at this car. Look at that car right there. There's a car under there. Look at the guardrail.
Well, the gas station isn't open.
Well, definitely
Well, this one
not.
is.
This one flooded completely.
Well, this one isn't.
Look at the power lines. Wow.
Look at the road. It's just...
Oh yeah. Those are gone.
No, no,
God.
that's a road.
Oh my God. That's a road. That's gone. That's a huge landslide. Wow.
Hey, look at the foundation of the house.
Oh my God, that's right. There used to be a house there. Wow.
There used to be houses.
Oh my gosh, look at the church.
The church.
That's destroyed. Wow. Look at the road across the street here.
I know their house is about to fall into the river.
Wow. This is like an incredible amount of destruction. And here's the video that I took when I went to Barnardsville to look for people. One thing that I forgot to say, which is something that Marquise and I talked about this week, is that, you know, I don't know what you imagine when you imagine flooding, right? Like this is the first time I was ever in a devastating flood. And I know when I used to see floods on TV, you think like standing water, maybe with a little current, maybe standing water up to the rooftops type of thing. But you don't really think of it like a 20-foot wall of water pushing debris in front of it and taking everything in its path, right? That's more what I imagine a tsunami to be like. So, yeah, here's Barnardsville. That's the road over there.
So when we came, none of this was here, right? When we rode out on Friday.
Yeah, that used to be the road right here.
The road is right here, right? Road ends.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and yeah, the river has changed its shape for real. Let me get on pieces of road. And here is a little bit of footage from the beehive rescue that I got to do yesterday, which was truly a highlight of my week, to find this little survivor that hung on for 7 days. And today I got to introduce her to a hive, but she was found in Weaverville, North Carolina, which is a suburb of Asheville. Hi, sweetheart. There you are. I'm gonna take you home. It's gonna be okay. This is the top of a cucumber magnolia tree that broke off in the storm. Had a really big hive in it. Today is day 7, and although bears came to this broken off tree, she ended up absconding as a cluster and hanging in the branches nearby, and I was able to come and retrieve her today.